How you doing, folks? My name's Jesse. Vlog entry number 11, December 22nd. What have I been working on? Well, I've been working on a whole lot of things. At Christmas, you notice I did a version of Go Tell It on the Mountain, cleverly titled Go Tele on the Mountain. Just bringing the likes in, aren't I? It's an idea I had some years ago, and I thought I could revisit it and do a better version of it. And I did a reasonably better version of it, though it wasn't perfect. And part of the reason why it wasn't perfect is because I was also woodshedding to do some sub work for a country band that was playing Friday the 20th at the local VFW. That was an interesting situation. Now, I've played at the VFW a bunch before with my other band. I was called up by the band's drummer and asked if I could fill in. The explanation was that the bass player, who's an older gentleman, had had a stroke. And while he was recovering and could play, he wasn't always sure if he could make it the full 4 sets. It's usually 4 45-minute sets from 7 to 11. And so he gave me their set lists, and I had to learn the first 2 sets on guitar and the second 2 sets on bass. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my notes that I took on it, and you'll see how I tried to kind of keep track of this, because I really am glad I had a chance to play this gig, because it taught me something, or it reminded me of something, that practice, you cannot beat practice. Talent will never beat hard work, ever, you know? Because there were songs that I was going, oh, that's easy, and you'll see it in some of them I wrote stupid bass. And I got that from that one Otis Gibbs video where he was interviewing, I can't remember his name, the guy who played bass for Johnny Cash and Jerry Reed. And he said, you know, he would get fancy sometimes, and Jerry Reed would tell him, son, I need some stupid bass on this. You know, that kind of dong, 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 dong. And I thought to myself, well, that's just easy, right? So, but I would work on these tunes, and as I was working on them, it was like, oh no, there's a lot of subtlety here that I'm gonna miss if I walk in here arrogantly and think I can ride this out on my talent. So I really busted my hump on these, even songs that I thought I knew, like Gimme 3 Steps. Like the bass line for that, Ed King came up with a bass line that was really, you know, like simple things like throwing a C, you know, in that. That never knew that was in there until I had to figure out how to play it. So generally I found that to be kind of a success, and you'll see periodically I'll put clips in. I decided to keep track of my practicing, and so maybe we'll play a game of how many riffs can you recognize. So I got that done. And then the 29th, my buddy Rob and I are playing a gentleman's birthday party with the caveat being he's 95 years old and he wants some country music, you know? So it'll probably, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a lot of work I got to get in. Now, what have I been working on it with? Well, this was one of my summer acquisitions. This was one of my Nashville acquisitions. I wanted a decent Tele. I had bought a Mosrite Celebrity because I'd played a Mosrite Celebrity at a music store, and I really liked the sound of it. So I bought the Celebrity, and it was in decent shape. It was as it was described on Reverb. And I played it, and the sound was okay, but I hated the way it felt. Absolutely hated the way it felt. Couldn't stand it, couldn't stand it, couldn't stand it. And so I said, you know what? I'm not gonna waste time with it, and I'm not gonna try and sell it. So I found a music store in Hermitage. I forget the name of it. They were a Fender dealer. And I went in and I said, I'd like to trade this in. They said, okay. And they quoted me a price. And I played as many Teles as I could. There was a young kid in there playing some metal. And I openly encouraged that. It made it difficult to accurately and adequately assess some of these, because you know they say if it's too loud you're too old. I'm getting too old, but I love the way it felt, and it sounded like a Tele to me. And I think and I love an ebony board. I'm a sucker for an ebony board. I love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. And so I liked the pickups. They're hum canceling because they are humbuckers, but they don't sound like a humbucker to me. I mean, they're not going to sound vintage, whatever that sounds like, but it sounds like a Tele to me. So, and the taste test was Friday when I plugged it into the Fender Bassman that I got back from service. And I'll put a picture in right now. It was my Bassman, a 212 cab with some warehouse speakers that I got in Nashville some years ago. This Tele and my Kalamazoo KG1 or KB1. The Kalamazoo bass. It's the only friggin' Kalamazoo bass they had. And when I plugged it in, it sounded glorious. It really did. I was just like, That's the sound in this context, this is perfect for what I'm doing. The lead guitar player in that band had a custom made Tele with vintage noiseless pickups in it. He had a Quilter, might have been an Aviator or something like that. It was a Quilter 112. We didn't talk much. And a pedal board that had everything and anything on it. And I had my little pedal board, which I put away, and that Bassman, and I kept up with him, no problem. So it's a keeper for sure. I love the way it feels. Love the way it plays. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on it with. So what have I been thinking about? Well, I'll tell you what I've been thinking about. Glad you asked. I remember some years ago when I had another YouTube channel, I had posted some practice. I'd posted a gig that I hadn't really adequately practiced for, and I posted clips of all the clams I hit. I firmly believe that the truth is often painful, and the only way to learn from it is to confront it, right? And I expected somebody to give me some shit, but I got shit from an unexpected place. This guy gave me shit not necessarily for not practicing enough, but for playing cover tunes. He said I wasn't really doing anything because I was just playing cover tunes. I wasn't doing anything original. We exchanged a little bit before I blocked him, but I've thought about that for some time because I write original music too. In fact, maybe at some point I'll start posting some of it. But I think, like I toyed with the idea of making a video with one of those titles on it that's kind of clickbaity, and it'd be something along the lines of why you should join a cover band. And it's a good idea. I'm not doing that horse shit, but it's a good idea. And I got a couple reasons. Number one, you interact with a lot of players. I met Lance. Lance? Maybe Lance. Lance is somewhere between 78 and 125 years old. Lance played steel guitar in the band. If you ever hear steel guitar on Knockin' on Heaven's Door, they did a version of Knockin' on Heaven's Door and he played steel guitar. And it brought me up to heaven's door. He was so damn good. And that's going to be a cherished memory of mine playing out, right? And I got to meet some cool guys. I got to meet some guys who liked what I did. Maybe I'll hear from them again sometime. I got to play with musicians and learn a lot of stuff. I got to make friends. God, don't we need some friends in this world? The blues band I'm in right now, they're awesome dudes. They really are. I'm glad I met them. And I did it because I joined a cover band. Then the other thing, joining a cover band forces you to learn. Like I said before, I thought I knew some of those tunes. And then there are a lot of tunes I didn't know that I sort of knew. Like I loved their set list. Time Won't Let Me. When was the last time you heard that song? But the minute you heard it, you're like, oh my God, yes, I know that song. And it had such a cool change, right? It was like, it had that cool opening, or... and then no, oh yeah. are you going to play cool changes like that? And I had to learn them, and I had to learn them quick, or learn them as best I could. I was hitting clams, but I was able to right the ship on occasion. The other thing too is it made me, like, one of the songs was Pride and Joy. I've been playing that song for years on guitar, not on bass. Playing it on bass, all of a sudden, oh, things are a little different. I got to visit the way other bands arranged things. I had to play the bass line for Runaway. I played and sang Runaway on guitar for years. Now I've got to play it on the bass, you know. Come on. How many times are you going to play that? So it forced me to learn. It forced me to grow. You get to play out in front of people. You learn something every time you play in front of people, even if they hate you, even if they could care less. It's an opportunity to learn, and I'm grateful for it. And I encourage you, if you get the opportunity to play in a cover band, do the same thing. Anyway, hope you're doing well. My name's Jesse. I'll talk to you later.